How's it going today, everyone? So to start things off, let's just imagine that all of you today, or a select few of you today, all committed a crime. Let's just say one of you murdered someone, another stole something, and the last one, you were a prostitute. So as we all know, these are all horrible crimes that will leave you all with a poor label, and you would all definitely need a lawyer because you're probably going to be facing some jail time. So the number one thing to keep in the back of your mind, let's just say that all of you guys were associated with Jesus Christ. So the question that we're going to be looking at today is whether or not a lawyer can still represent someone, whether or not they were involved in crime, and still be a Christian. The answer to this is yes. I mean, for example, as you all know, during the O.J. trial, the Zimmerman trial, and even Casey Anthony trial, they were all followers of Jesus Christ, and so were their attorneys. So I mean, by the end of this presentation, you're all going to have a better understanding of how this can be done. So pretty much the whole purpose of this speech today is to inform you all about lawyers and the role it is that they play and how difficult it can be a lawyer, being a lawyer. So this speech is going to help all of you guys have a better understanding of the aptitude and skill lawyers attain and the opportunity they have to use the courtroom as a platform to promote something that God values. To help with a better understanding, certain scriptures will be discussed to help you guys get a better understanding of how they use and bring the values it is that God and Jesus Christ have into the courtroom. So by showing you guys how being a Christian and a lawyer complement and benefit each other, I will go by explaining how the ultimate, the different things I'll talk about today is how the ultimate judge is in heaven and not in the courtroom. Also, too, by showing that passion and caring for others in need is something that God values, and that we Christians are judged by a higher power, and to not get held up by the court of public opinion when choosing who and when to help. So the first topic we'll be discussing today is that lawyers face, and that kind of helps them get through cases, is to realize that the ultimate judge is not in the room, and it's not the people around them, that God is the ultimate judge. I mean, we all have morals and we all have certain ethics, and I think that as a Christian, and I mean, no matter what your belief is, you know that, I mean, there's only one person that can really judge you, and that's the Lord himself. According to John 8:15 through 16, it states that you judge according to the flesh, I judge no one. Yet even if I do judge, my judgment is true, for it is not I alone who judge, but I and the Father who sent me. So I mean, obviously, as human beings, we all like to live by this golden rule. Do to others what you want done to you. So basically, by this, who will be the one to call you out for when you don't follow those rules? Who's going to be the one to judge you? Who's going to be the one that will administer your judgment? This is one of the main reasons that we have the justice system, to answer these questions. Obviously, a lot of people say that people are ultimately just corrupt and sinful, therefore we cannot judge ourselves, therefore this is why the justice system is in place. I mean, lawyers have a huge job sending people to justice, help promoting justice, and that's one of the main reasons people become lawyers, is to help people in times of need for the awful crimes that they've committed and sinned for. So I mean, which brings us to our second topic. Obviously can't be judged, so a lot of things too, a lawyer can promote the things God values. So and one thing that God values is justice. So I mean, according to Amos 5:15, hate evil and forth to Jesus and hate evil and love good, and establish justice in the gate. It may be that the Lord, the God of hosts, will be gracious to the remnant of Joseph. So this is pretty much saying that the number one thing about being a lawyer is that you seek justice for your client. God values helping others. We all know this, and if you take that into account when you are a lawyer, then you'll definitely have a much easier time providing the justice that your criminal or the client needs in this case. So, I mean, many articles that I've looked into and a lot of followers of the Christian faith all believe that people deserve a second chance. And the intention in this is that to stand alongside of your criminal defendants, care for their well-being, and represent their interest. So doing this with passion and compassion, many lawyers want to be the blessing to the people during this difficult time in their lives. So a lot of lawyers take into account that it is a blessing for them to be able to help people, and I think that's one of the key factors of being a lawyer. So, which brings me to the last point today. We are judged by a higher power, not by the court of public opinion. So, obviously, the court specializes on juries' decisions and the opinions of others. When looking at an instance, you can relate it to the Bible by looking at the trials and tribulations of Jesus Christ before he goes to the cross. So, I mean, similar to this, similar to courthouses, similar to the judgment of others and to others' opinions. I mean, with no evidence of Christ being a physical threat or uprising because of him, there was still a whole governing body and angry people demanding his blood. So these events took place for a spiritual benefit, but we see this in today's society time and time again, obviously being in courtrooms. So, according to John 8, 1 through 11, this tells a story of a woman who committed adultery. An angry mob brought her forth to Jesus and demanded that she be punished. And that punishment was to be sent out death by stone. Obviously, Jesus then spoke up and said that he who is without sin may cast the first stone. So after saying this, no one threw the stone, and the crowd broke up and left. Obviously, Jesus wanted to relate to this because this lady committed a sin. Adultery, I mean, it's a terrible sin. No one ever wants to have committed adultery upon or against or anything like that. So, realizing this, everyone also realized that they committed sins too and decided not to throw stones at the lady. So, I mean, those three examples are pretty much the core beliefs behind why lawyers look to the Christian faith to help in their testimonies and their trials and to help bring people to justice, because it's definitely a good moral and a good ethic standard to live upon, especially in the court of law. So, I mean, with this all being said, a lawyer, being of the Christian faith, knows that God is the ultimate judge and values nothing more than the showing of compassion, helping another person in need, and that they should avoid the public opinion of the court, choosing who and when to help. If a lawyer does these three things, then you are promoting the traits and qualities the Lord values. So all in all, this was designed to show a person how a person can show qualities the Lord values while being a lawyer, but isn't the only way to do so. So, I mean, obviously there are many other ways in being a lawyer that you can promote the good in people and bring them to justice. All people come to the generalization that all lawyers are corrupt and lie and say anything just to win the case. However, this speech is to show that just because you are a person of faith does not mean that you can practice law while serving the Lord. So I think the key thing to learn from this speech is that it's tough to be a lawyer, it's tough to communicate in the field, it's tough to win over others when trying to win a case, and I think that coming to a realization and coming to the generalization that everyone can relate to and using the Word of God as that what am I looking for? As that source is definitely a common source that everyone can relate to, and it'll help with a lot of testimonies in the future. So with that being said, this was my informative speech on law and lawyers and the way that they go about what it is that they do. So again, my name is Johnny. Again, thank you for your time and hope you enjoyed listening. Thanks.